What's up, guys? Let's talk about 25 super valuable quarters that you should be looking for when you're searching through not only your pocket change, but at that coin shop or at that trade show or convention you go to that hopefully I'll see you at. So let's get to it with number 25, the 1952D Washington Quarter. 1952D Washington quarters are really great to look for because on average they can be worth about $4 to $6 and in upwards of $100 to $150 in some cases. There was 49 million of these made with a reeded edge, and they have a 90% silver content, which adds to that value. Around 50% of all 1952 quarters were issued from the Denver, Colorado Mint. However, the S mint mark or San Francisco 1952 Washington quarter does hold a little bit more value than the D counterpart. Next on the list at number 24 is the 1950 S Washington quarter. This is another great one to look for when you're searching through and cherry picking at stores or going through old rolls of quarters. These can be worth between $3 and $7. But in upwards of $100 to $150 as well. There was 21 million of these made, so that slight decrease in production helps in the value being over its previous counterpart, the 1952D Washington quarter we just spoke about. Now there's a really rare error for these coins, which is the S over D mint mark error. These can be worth thousands of dollars in really good condition. Next on the list, at number 23 is the 1953 D Washington quarter. These have a similar value as the other two, although they're a little bit more valuable, sitting at around $6 to $8 on average, and upwards of $125 to $160 in some cases. There was 56.1 million of these made, and they also have a 90% silver content. Next on our list is the 1952 S Washington quarter I mentioned earlier, and due to a lower mintage than its D counterpart, with only 13.7 million of them made, this 90% silver coin also holds a good value, sitting around $7 to $10 in average condition, but in upwards of $160 to $180 in good condition. At number 21, the 1937 Washington quarter. Now this quarter out of the Philadelphia Mint has really good value to it. There was only 19 million of them made, 90% silver content in this coin, and it shares the reeded edge as many, if not all the other ones on this list. There's known double die obverses, which I have a video talking about double die error values that I'll link in the description box, but this double die obverse 1937 Washington quarter, minted from the Philadelphia Mint, can be worth an upwards of $3,000. Now these are worth on average around $12 and an upwards of $150 in good condition when graded. At number 20, the 1939 D Washington quarter. These are worth around $13 to $15 in average condition, but in good condition close to mint state they can be worth around $160. These are also a 90% silver coin, and due to an extremely low mintage of only 7 million, these quarters are worth really good money. Next on our list at number 19 is the 1962 D Washington quarter. In really high condition, these can be worth between $150 and $200, despite the fact there was 127 million of them made, and that's 50 million more than the mint produced the previous year. But due to the odd specifics of this coin, they are worth good money and are well worth looking for when out at shops and roll hunting. Next on our list at number 18 is the 1937 D Washington quarter. Similar value as the previously mentioned coin, these sit around $20 in average condition, but can be worth an upwards of $150 to $200 in really high condition close to mint state. There is only 7 million of these made. They're also a 90% silver coin being pre-1965, and there is also many errors known in the double die genre on these coins, both DDOs and DDRs. Next on the list is the 1935 Washington quarter. These are another great one to look for, kind of better date coin. With 32 million of them made, they are out there. They're also 90% silver, and on average they go for about $5 or $6. but could be worth in upwards of $160 in really good grades, with an MS-67 one selling for almost $600. Next on the list is the 1942 S Washington quarter. There was only 19.3 million of these made, but they are worth around $9 or $10 in good condition, and in upwards of $200 if they come back graded in even lower MS grades. There's not many errors known for these coins, although there has been some that have come out that have sold for hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars, but on average these coins will garner you around $20-$30 in solid shape. Next on our list at number 15 is the 1934 Washington quarter. This coin had 31.9 million of them made, and there are three things to look out for when you are looking at determining the value. There's lots of double dies known on the words "In God We Trust," and those are worth in upwards of a couple $1,000s in really good shape. There's a light motto and a heavy motto imprinting on these coins. The heavy and light motto is on the words "In God We Trust" as well, so you can see there's a lot of different issues with that motto printed on these coins. This can really add to the value. They can be worth in upwards of about $15 in average condition, but in upwards of $200 in pretty good condition when graded. Next on our list at number 14 is the 1939 S Washington quarter. These can be worth in upwards of a couple $100. There was only 2.6 million of these made. They're a semi-key date Washington quarter. They're 90% silver, and the 2.6 million San Francisco minted Washington silver quarters from 1939 are the rarest, because they only represent about 4% of total quarters issued that year. Next on our list is the 1938 and 1938 S Washington quarters, which share similar value. The 1938 has a mintage of 9.4 million, is of course a 90% silver coin, and on average are around $15 to $18, but can be worth an upwards of $300 to $340 when they grade pretty decently. 8,045 1939 Washington quarter proofs were minted at Philadelphia, and these sell for really good money, usually a few $100s when graded. The 1938 S is another great quarter. It's around the same value as the 1938 quarter out of Philadelphia, but there was only 2.8 million of them made. So this really adds into the value of the coin. The ones from the San Francisco Mint represent 30% of the coins issued for that year, and the Denver Mint didn't mint any 1938 Washington quarters. Next on our list is the 1940 D Washington quarter, which is getting in upwards of $300 to $400 when graded well, and only 2.7 million of them were made. They can be worth on average about $30, and the Denver Mint pumped out about 1/10 of the coins that the Philadelphia Mint did, making the 1940 D coins much more valuable. Next on the list at number 10 is the 1935 S Washington quarter, which peaks over the $400 mark. On average, these are worth about $7 to $12, but when graded well can be worth $400 to $450. They're considered a key date coin, and around 12% of all Washington quarters that were minted that year were out of the San Francisco Mint. The mint mark is on the reverse of the coin. These are 90% silver, and there was 5.6 million of them made. There are known double dies on these coins to look out for as well. At number 9, the 1932 Washington quarter. We're now approaching $500 in value when graded well. These 1932 coins have no mint mark, they're considered a key date, and they also had 5.4 million of them made with a 90% silver content. 84% of these were issued out of the Philadelphia Mint. 1932 was also the first year of the Washington quarter. So that's why these are so valuable. They usually sell for around $7 to $20 in average condition, but can be worth in upwards of $480 to $580 when graded well. At number 8, the 1934 D Washington quarter. This is also a key date coin with only 3.5 million of them made. They sit around $18 to $22 in average condition, but can sell in upwards of $500 to $600 in good graded condition. These have a 90% silver content, and only 8% of Washington quarters were minted in 1934 out of the Denver Mint, which is what really gives them that value. There's also some known errors, but that limited production out of Denver really aids in the value of this coin. At number 7, the 1937 S Washington quarter. This is a semi-key date coin with only 1.6 million of them made. Albeit there are known errors on these coins, these are the rarest of the silver quarters minted that year because they make up only 5% of the quarters minted the entire year. Average value of one of these coins can sit close to $50 to $60, and when graded well can be in upwards of $600 or $700. Next on our list at number 6 is the 1944 D Washington quarter, which sits between $500 and $600 in really good condition. And about 10% of all 1944 silver Washington quarters are minted out of Denver. So this makes them really rare with only 14.6 million of them made. And there's known quarter errors on these coins. Double dies, which are most evident in the letters and numbers on the coin, and then a very, very rare one that'll have 4.9 grams in weight, which is a quarter struck on a nickel planchet. These are really rare, but worth thousands of dollars. At number 5, getting down there, is the 1936 S Washington quarter, which, when graded well, can sell for $600 or $700. These coins out of the San Francisco Mint, on average condition, can be about $15 or $20, with only 3.8 million of them made. Only 5% of coins that year came out of the San Francisco Mint, so that low mintage amount really adds into the value. At number 4, the 1935 D Washington quarter. These are getting in upwards of $1,000 in value when graded well, but even on average condition can be worth between $15 and $40. They're a semi-key date out of the Denver Mint with 5.7 million of them made, which is only comprising 13% of all Washington quarters minted that year. The mint mark's found on the reverse, of course, and these coins with that lower mintage and being a very early date Washington quarter really have good value to them and are worth grabbing up and holding on to. Getting down to number 3 on the list is the 1936 D Washington quarter, which we just spoke about the San Francisco version of this coin. On average, they sit around $40 to $80 in average condition, but can sell in upwards of $1,500 for this key date 1936 Washington quarter out of Denver. There was only 5.3 million of them made. Of course, they have a 90% silver content, and there was only 10% of all quarters issued that year that were out of Denver. So it really makes them valuable for that low mintage amount. But there's also known errors on 1936 D quarters to keep an eye out for, like double dies. Last on our list, at the last 2 spots, are 2 coins from the same year, the 1932 S and 1932 D Washington quarters. Let's start with the S quarter at number 2, which can sell for an upwards of $200 in average condition. For this key date coin from the San Francisco Mint, there was only 408,000 of these made. So that extremely low mintage adds into that value big time, since only 11% of quarters that year were out of San Francisco. These are the most valuable of the 3 mintages in lower to mid-grade condition. These can be worth an upwards of $5,000 if they have really high condition when graded. Last on our list is the counterpart out of Denver, the 1932 D quarter, which can also sell in average condition for around $200, but can sell for tens of thousands of dollars when graded well. Just 12% of all Washington quarters minted in 32 came out of the Denver Mint. A 1932 D Washington quarter in MS65 sold for well over $20,000. There was only 436,000 of these made, and these early year Washington quarters are just extremely rare with a low mintage. Many of these Washington quarters are worth really, really good money. Of course, many of these, if not all of them on the list, are pre-1965 quarters, so definitely check out my video on modern circulation quarters that you need to keep an eye out for. But these are the top 25 Washington quarters that are worth the most money to keep an eye out for. Of course, there's some outliers that have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, but this list I think covers quite a few really good coins. Make sure to check out my other videos on coins, currency, and collectibles, and if you enjoyed the video, hit subscribe to help support my channel.